This lesson is on equations that have proportions. So your step to solving proportions is first to cross multiply. Multiply with an L. And then you're going to divide. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like. So when we cross multiply, that literally means that we're going across. So this is going to give us 30 because it's 10 times 3. And then this side is going to give us 5n. So now it's just an easy one-step equation where you're trying to get n by itself. So to do that, you're dividing by 5, and you get that 6 equals n. Okay, so our next one, we're doing the same thing. Cross multiplying here, so I'll write this out so you can see it. We're doing 10 times 10, which is 100. Cross multiplying this direction, and we get 7 times k, which is 7k. Now we're simply trying to get our k value by itself. So divide by 7. And this is going to leave us with a fraction. And sometimes we're going to want a decimal answer, and sometimes we're just going to want the fraction. So we're going to leave this as the fraction 100 over 7. Now, if this was money or people or anything that you wanted an exact answer for, you would get a decimal approximation of this. If it's not, then I would leave it as a fraction. Okay, so these get a little bit harder because they have variables involved in them. So you're still cross multiplying. So this is still 9 times 7. Then we're cross multiplying in this direction. So I have 4 and a plus 7. So when you see parentheses like that, you know that you need to distribute this. So in my blue, first, 9 times 7 is 63. And then in my red, we're going to distribute to get 4a plus 28. Okay, so now I want to get my variable by itself. So I'm going to move the 28 to the other side. So when you do 63 minus 28, you get 35 equals 4a. You're trying to get a by itself here, so divide by 4. And we're just going to leave that as the fraction 35 over 4. And remember that if this was a story problem and it was like how much money or how many something else, you would go ahead and make that into a decimal approximation. All right, same thing over here. This is going to give us 2 times 7. Then diagonally this way, 9 and x minus 6. Distributing here, my blue is going to stay 14 when I multiply those together. Distributing this to get 9x minus 54. Okay, so again, what I want is to isolate my variable. So I need to move the 54. So to move the 54, I want to do the opposite, which is adding, which is going to give me 68 equals 9x. Still trying to isolate the variable, I need to divide by 9 to get rid of it. And then you have to decide, is 68 divisible by 9? Well, it's not, and you also can't reduce it, so just leave it as 68 over 9. Okay, to our last two here, doing the same thing except there's a couple more variables here. So when we go this direction, we're going to get 7 times b. When we go this direction, we're going to get 9 times b minus 10. So in the blue, we're going to have 7b, because that's what 7 times b is. Here, we're going to distribute and get 9b minus 90. Okay, so now, multi-step equation, we want all our variables to one side. So let's go ahead and take all of our variables to the left. So we're going to subtract this 9b. So then what that leaves us with on the left-hand side is negative 2b equals negative 90. So we're still trying to isolate the variable, so it's negative 2 times b. So we want to divide by negative 2. And we get that b equals a positive 45. All right, to our last one here. Cross multiplying this way, we get a times 10. Cross multiplying this direction, we get 7 and a minus 2. So distributing here, the blue side is going to be 10a, and the red side is going to be 7a minus 14. Okay, so now I need all my variables to one side. So let's subtract our 7a to get rid of it here and move it over this way. So then I have 3a equals negative 14. Again, trying to isolate our variable, so it's 3 times a. We want to divide. And is negative 14 divisible by 3? No. So we're going to leave it as negative 14 thirds. And that's your answer.